Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to another StarCraft 2 England cast. This is a ladder game and it is on Newkirk District. It is in Wings of Liberty though, so it's not Heart of the Swarm unfortunately, although I will be trying to get some more games up. Unfortunately replays for Heart of the Swarm are quite obviously a little bit hard to get hold of at the moment. So, let me introduce these two players. In the lower right position, as the Red Protoss, we do of course have State, who is quite obviously no longer part of Quantic due to them disbanding. In the lower left position we have the blue Terran player Power, and that means it's gonna be a PvT, which is exciting times because I like this matchup. It will be good. So, Newkirk District, what is the key defining feature of this map? Obviously the dead space and the fact you're close by air. So we should be seeing some drop play, at least out of Power. I think dropping on this map is pretty much essential. State may even try to go for some Warp Prism harassment or something like that, so we'll wait and see what they go for. Of course air is also viable, maybe a Banshee opening from Power is possible. Wait to see on the gas timing for those. So all in all, that is a fair estimate of what we could be seeing. In terms of base progression, we should see both players take this third base, especially Power. It's actually a really nice third base for Terrans to take, purely because they can stick some tanks down in this sort of position, and therefore use that to cover both their natural and main, and then all you have to really worry about is drops coming into your main base, so a couple of missile turrets along this edge are quite likely. Barracks on its way down. So, it's all looking fairly normal at the moment. State, of course, getting the probe in there, getting a nice little scout out of what's going on. We do not have any gas yet for the Terran. We do have the first gas coming down for State at the moment, though. So, lots of... Oh, misclick there. Don't press that button, Madals. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? Oh, it's all falling to pieces. But, back on track. The gas means that we can't really identify too much of what's going on yet, because there's so many things you can do. We need to see if a second gas comes down, but we also need to be thinking, hang on, is it going to be a 4-gate? Is that possible? Is it going to be a 1-gate expansion? That's possible as well. And if we don't see a second gas, or rather if we do see a second gas, we know it's going to be some kind of tech route. But all in all, for the moment, Power, he's got his racks up, no gas, so one rack's command center is 99.999% certain to happen, and that is very accurate and precisely the probability of a command center being thrown down now. So there we go, that is all good. Meanwhile, Nexus came down. There's a Nexus before the Cybernetics core. We also only have 2 probes in the assimilator. That allowed this Nexus to come down slightly quicker, but means we do still have enough gas coming through for likely to be able to get Warp Gate tech started straight away, and probably a Sentry as well, should State want to do that. So that just puts you in a nice defensive position. You've got Power coming in with the SCV, but both players know that the other one is expanding straight away very early, and as a result of that, we probably won't see any action happening for around the next 5 minutes. Usually about 9 to 12 minutes we'll see a push hitting. Power, of course, has different options expanding out. There's likely to probably see 2 more barracks, then 2 gas, a tech lab chucked on, or you can just go for another command center. This is the crazy, this is the I want a good economy mid-game, I am gonna own you, but until then, I'm gonna be incredibly scared. One more barracks being added on now. We need some bunkers chucked down. Seriously, anyone watching, if you're gonna go racks, command center, build a barracks outside your natural, just at the ramp of your natural, because if you don't, you're gonna have bad times. Pretty much that simple. So, yep, Warp Gate tech on its way down. We also have a Sentry coming along, so as I thought, one Sentry on its way after the Stalker though, so this is really very standard, a nice spread on the Marines there. It's all looking nice. Of course, you're playing it very risky when you go for this command center, so the double gas adding on. We should see a tech lab as the first thing. Another barracks coming in now, so we're getting back to more normal now. But Power still hasn't built a bunker, which I just think is such a ballsy move, skipping that bunker. On a ladder game, I don't see the benefit of taking a risk such as skipping that bunker, to be honest, because the risk you run is that you will just die. The advantage you gain is, I consider, quite minimal. It just means you've got a bit more money in the bank ready to do stuff. But here comes down the tech lab. Probably going to see Stim come out of that, although we could see combat shield depending on if Power feels aggression is likely to be incoming, but he's got enough money. But Stim, there we go, so that gets started up. Thought we'd be seeing that. We've got the double gateway on their way down there now as well, so that takes up to 3 gate. No tech sign yet out of State, so no robotics facility, so that means no Warp Prism harassment. Getting a forge up, so really just sticking on gateway tech for quite a while, it would appear. The bunker finally now coming up for Power, so is going to be able to push this Stalker back very comfortably. The Zealot just staying at the... Oh no, where is the Zealot? I'm sure I saw a Zealot. I may be imagining things, but I'm fairly certain there was a Zealot out, in which case, let's have a look. No, it hasn't died, so... Okay, there was no Zealot. It was skipped. I must be imagining things. This is what you get when you cast, like, 4 or 5 games in a row. You're suddenly like, hang on, what have I seen and what haven't I seen? So, anyway, coming back to this, we've got 3 orbital commands up, lots of mules, double tech lab as well. So Stim's on its way down. Nothing researching out this other tech lab yet, but likely we'll see something in the near future. Factory on its way down as well. That's going to allow the starport to come out quick, medevac, so drop place still a possibility. Engineering bay is there as well now, so upgrades will be coming in. We've got the robo on its way for state. Chrono boosting out +1/1, so double forge. This double forge is causing the delay in the robotics facility, but means in the mid-game you're going to be better. But a great scan coming out from the Terran player here, saying, hang on, this is what's going on. And oh my goodness! A sentry! The sentry is stuck! That is bad times. You don't want a stuck sentry there. That is always going to be pretty sad times for you. And I don't know how you get it stuck there. That warp gate must have been a gateway when it made it, and rallied a bit weirdly, but still. Anyway, Warp Prism coming in, push coming across the map though. A couple of Marines are going to take back this watchtower. They want to make sure that all the vision is firmly in the Terran's hands, because a risk is being taken with this. The Warp Prism is going to come and drop in, and as we can see, not really anything to stop it. To be honest, no missile turrets. All of the army is moving very far down, going to be aiming to defend the natural in this third base, and a lot of the Marines the watchtower, so this is likely to go completely unscouted. No idea that the robotics facility's even down there. Just knows the double forge, doesn't know about these additional gateways either. So with the gateways and obviously the Twilight Counter coming down, it does actually take us up to two and all of those, so that takes us up to 6. I think. Is my maths correct? No, 7 gates. So 7 gates with the Warp Prism is going to be able to do a lot of pain in. We still don't have any of the Marines or anything in the main base, so they're going to take a long time to come back in here. No detection of it at all. We should see a warp in of a couple of units here. They'll get then lifted up into that Warp Prism, ready of course for the drop, to give you a couple of units straight away. The production for power is really starting to ramp up now. This is where Quantic State, or State rather, not Quantic State, needs to do a huge amount of damage. If he doesn't do good economic damage, he is going to run into problems. But the scout of the factory does see it, but no reaction immediately. So in come those zealots. We've got the units being pulled back, but the warp-in needs to happen soon. And it would appear it doesn't. Instead, just picking off that reactor very quickly. And now pulling back, thinking he's done enough damage. I don't believe he's even aware that that base is down, so he has no idea about the third base yet. Should have an indicator that there's probably a third base just due to how much production there is. There's no way you could afford this much production without that third base, and as we can see from the work account, it's pretty equal, so when you factor mules into that as well, it obviously puts the Terran player quite a long way ahead. These zealots getting dropped down now, that's fine. We may see a warp in of a couple of stalkers or something just trying to pick off that factory, but no, instead that warp isn't going to start coming back forward. We've got a good amount of gateway units here, but it is only gateway units. There is no, as far as I can see, robotics bay, which means no Colossus will be out anytime soon. We do have Blink coming down, but infantry, especially a big doom drop of infantry like this against gateway units, is not going to be too fun to defend as a Protoss player, because the Terrans got Stim. Straight away, you know Stim's out. You know that you've got good upgrades on their way, but still, it's gonna hurt. Gateway units do not do well against Stim Marine Marauder, but these medevacs were picked up by the Warp Prism and the Observer, going to allow it to get stopped, and that gives State time to really get some units in position in order to defend this. He's warping in a couple more units down here as well, so this drop isn't really going to go down. There's no way that can push through. The Stalkers are keeping him very isolated up here. There's not actually that many units, to be honest. So, all in all, Stay holds it off nicely. Blinks back. Does reveal he's got Blink now, though. Power getting up Combat Shield and Concussive Shell. So, that's really quite late, considering he's running 4 tech labs at the moment. He's also starting to produce that second starport. He's got a Viking out, so not actually using that Viking very actively. He could go and pick off that Warp Prism quite comfortably. Still no sign of any Colossus tech, though, out of State. He's not started his robotics bay. He has absolutely no sign of a Templar Archives either. Instead, just going up for this third Nexus. The downside of not getting the Colossus or the High Templar is that you don't have AoE damage. You don't have the splash damage that you require so badly to deal with a large infantry force, which means that State could be running into some problems. However, Power is committing quite a lot to his production of Vikings. And if you're producing Vikings without any Colossus on the field, that's obviously wasted supply. But just as he starts that, somewhere around here, we do have the Robotics Bay going down. So there we have it. That means Colossus are going to be en route eventually. We still have these Stalkers sitting up here ready for the drop defense. We've got a handful of Zealots and Sentries waiting down by the third base in order to defend that. But a fourth now floated down here for Power. He's really out-expanding his opponent quite heavily. He's going to be 2 bases up for a little period of time. Then will be a base up consistently. So his income is a lot higher. He's got a lot more workers. When you factor the mules in as well, you can see that is really dominating in terms of the income immediately. So that is just absolutely perfect for a Terran player in this situation, especially when you are keeping up in the upgrades. He's at 2-1 against 2-2, admittedly 3-3 on its way down for State at the moment, but that's not going to be down for a while yet, and without any Colossi or High Templar, infantry is just going to be absolutely devastating. Some great force fields hit for State. He doesn't actually trap that many units, to be fair, only a handful of Marines and Marauders who actually do a fairly okay job. Power, though, sees that there's only gateway units there, and it's most likely just going to come and push in, because you're going to struggle to defend against Marine Marauder Medevac with only Zealot, Stalker, Sentry. So here we go, scan going in, sees that, yep, there is definitely no Colossi or any High Templar. I'm just going to go for this. Some good force fields out of State, but as we can see, this damage from the Stim Marine Marauder is absolutely huge. 3-3 hasn't yet kicked in for State. The Medevac's doing a good job of healing up, and we can see so many gateway units going down right now. But just with superior numbers and the great force fields, we can see that State is able to hold off this push with the reinforcements, and Power is going to have to pull back now this Colossus has come into play. So State doing a nice job holding off there. He did actually lose an awful lot of stuff, but now actually during the retreat he's going to level it out. So overall this game, the trade has been very equal, and getting a ghost there as well, which is really, really nice to see. Of course, Power now has to not panic. He's just got to make sure that he doesn't lose too much to these Stalkers. A nice blink forward. 3-3 is of course done now, which means there is a solid upgrade advantage. 3-3 against 2-1. Of course, just a handful of SCVs getting taken down, but State did the right thing, getting a couple of kills, blinking out there, staying safe. He still is unaware, as far as I'm aware, that this base is down, so that's the advantage for Power. He's got a hidden base that his opponent is unaware of, and therefore should be able to stay ahead economically, but his production really needs to be going nicely. And as we can see, 5 Marauders at a time, infantry heavy, the Viking count also starting to pump out. These Stalkers do need to be very careful not to get picked off, because that is one thing you cannot afford to happen. The Viking still just keeping a nice little lookout of any drops that could be coming in, because drops are always going to be a threat on this map throughout the entire game. State, however, he's getting up his second Colossus. The third Colossus is on its way down. Extended Thermal Lance 3/4 done and getting Chrono boosted. We also have the Shields upgrade being researched, so going all out for the upgrades. He's also getting down the Templar Archives, which you need those High Templar in the late game as Protoss, so that is good. But already Ghosts are on the field, so now it's just up to Power to really balance out his Ghost and Viking numbers in order to engage State's army effectively. And that is the only challenge really posing to a Terran late game in terms of composition, is just the right Ghost and Viking numbers. But here we go, a little bit of an engagement going on there, but State blinking back, realizing he doesn't have quite enough. The Vikings doing a lot of damage straight away to that Colossus. We do have one managing to go down, but the second one is doing an awful lot of damage very quickly. The Vikings will now clean it up. Reinforcements coming in here for Power are looking very good. The Vikings landing, unfortunately, just as a third Colossus joins the battle. So with that, Power is going to be forced to retreat. Just superior numbers for State, and of course still the upgrade advantage. 3-3-1 against 2-2 for the Terran. That is a really, really nice engagement now for State, blinking forward, trying to get a couple more units, and is able to do so. And this counter push could actually knock out the third base of Power, because he does not have much there for defense. With the Colossus still up for State, he is going to be able to deal with this infantry very effectively. He's morphing in some Archons, which is a real right then and there play. Archons not going to be as good as Storms, but of course for the right that second they are going to be very, very strong indeed, allow you to get a quick resupply of some very powerful units. So Power is now going to be really quite concerned. He needs to keep this base up as best he can. The Colossi and the Archons are on the way over. A lot of Zealots in there as well. So to be honest, with the upgrade advantage of 3-3-1 against 3-2, obviously State is going to be as aggressive as possible. The Archons are there. We've got engagement coming in now. There's no Vikings to deal with that Colossus, so as we can see, it's just able to sit at the back, dealing lots of damage. The infantry is melting right now for Power. State Archons are able to push forward, but with reinforcements streaming in, it does seem like State is forced back for the time being. and he needs to be careful not to lose too much, but Power needs to also be very careful not to overcommit forward. And as we can see now, by overcommitting slightly and without these reinforcements coming in, State is once again able to turn the tide of this battle into his favour. SCVs are being pulled now to try and deal with more of this. The Archons and Colossus are not actually engaging the army, which means the Zealots have been taken down. Quite a few SCVs were killed there though. In total this game, 29 have gone down for Power. So that actually takes the entire work count slightly ahead for State, but State still just on these 3 bases compared to the 4 bases, with these additional orbital commands getting morphed in now for Power, which means with a lot of mules he should still be ahead economically. Still pumping out units. He's got +3 infantry armor, about 2/3 done. He's getting the Vikings out, +2 shields on their way now for State, who, and actually I've got to give both these players credit for managing their money. We can see here both very, very low on minerals and gas. Obviously Power will start banking up some minerals just with so many mules, but he's moving forward, he's being aggressive. There is a second Colossi now on the field for State, which means these Vikings do have to get a good attack angle. Some are using things like this. You want to come around the side so they can't be engaged by the Archons or Stalkers, but you're able to engage those Colossi very, very effectively. So in comes Power. He's pumping up all of his army, which is something you do need to be a little bit careful of, because obviously now we've got 3 Colossi on the field. Those infantry units are going to die incredibly quickly. Storm, I'm not sure if Storm is actually down or not, but I don't think it is, since it's purely Archons coming out for State at the moment. But obviously back and forth thing here, you've got to get the right attack angle, and it looks like Power deciding to go for it, but those Colossi able to do a lot of damage. One is melting very quickly, but State GG straight away out with those lovely EMPs hitting, and as a result, Power will win the game just by having, and that hidden 4th base, which State, or it's not even hidden, that 4th base that State didn't scout really did cost him the game, because that allowed Power to just keep producing, and obviously when the upgrades leveling up, that means that everything's starting to go into the Terran's favour. So if you did enjoy, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you like the video, leave a cool comment and subscribe. I will catch you all tomorrow for yet another new cast. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.